Hello folks, Blizzard's launch plans for patch 11.15 were widely criticised in the run-up to its launch as time-gating, thanks to their decision to delay the launch of two of the patch's major new features, Horrific Visions and Dastardly Duels. But with this week's launch of Season 2's Turbo Boost and patch 11.17 including even more events such as the return of Turbulent Timeways and the Diablo-themed Greedy Emissary, it's starting to seem that this is part of an intentional strategy by Blizzard to experiment with giving us plenty to do over the summer period. And I suspect to try and avoid that feeling that many of us got in the latter half of Season 1 that it was running out of steam. This is almost certainly an experiment by the developers to see if they can build upon the successes of Plunderstorm and Mop Remix, and it's one that I suspect will continue into Season 3, where we're also going to see things like Legion Remix and a mystery new event. There's no doubt in my mind that we will not be able to complain of there being nothing to do in World of Warcraft this summer. The only question, and one that only time will answer, is how this new strategy is going to land with the player base. And for creators like me, I suspect that we're not going to be short of things to talk about. This week saw the launch of the first of these events with Turbo Boost, which is essentially a new way to try and breathe some more excitement into the second half of the season, with a boost to item levels via the addition of 2 new upgrade levels to the hero and myth tracks, items to increase crafted gear by up to 6 item levels, and of course the updated dinar system, the puzzling cartel chip. These changes did seem to have the desired effect, at least in reset day, where I don't think I've ever seen Donegal feel quite so busy in my server, especially around the weekly vault and the upgrade vendors who were doing a roaring trade. The increases in crest acquisition that we've had this season has, I suspect, led many of us to accumulate sizable amounts of lower level crests, which by now we don't really have much use for on our mains. And the removal of the crest cap means that this is a great time to put them to use by speaking to the crest transmutation vendor and upgrading them to higher levels. I was able to get a bunch of additional gilded crests that way, allowing my main to gain 5 item levels in one day, which is certainly a nice boost to help with seasonal progress. While it hasn't been mentioned in any of Blizzard's publicity, the removal of the cap usually also means the addition of a Warbound Mythic Plus gear and weapons chest to the vendor in Donegal who hangs out next to the Mythic Plus portal. Purchasing this chest requires a Mythic Plus score of 1000 and it costs 350 Valor Stones, and it will award a random piece of gear or weapons drawn from the entire Mythic Plus pool. The Season 2 buffs to the lower level item drops from Mythic Plus have also been applied to this chest, meaning that it now drops item level 636 champion track gear, which is a lot more useful than the veteran gear we've had in the past. Even if you do not have any alts who can use the gear, that gear can be vendored or disenchanted, allowing you to turn those excess Valor Stones into a bit of gold. So I do recommend that you pick up some of these chests anytime that you're in any danger of overcapping in Valor Stones. While Delve players sadly do not get included in the new dinar system, they do still get a bit of a boost, with the number of gilded crests that drop from the weekly Delver's bounty map when it's used on a level 11 Delve being increased from 10 to 20. This means that Delvers can now get up to 41 gilded crests per week from Delves. While the weekly cap of only the first 3 level 11 Delves dropping gilded crests does still remain, assuming that you have hit at least item level 645 in every slot, you will be able to upgrade your rune crests to gilded crests, meaning that you can very likely expect to get a fair bit more gilded crests from that reward vendor. This is the final week of the Winds of Mysterious Fortune buff, which offers the 20% increase in leveling XP, a 200% Dragonflight reputation boost, and a 100% reputation boost for the 11.0 War Within reputations, which means that if you do have any unfinished leveling, you might want to get it wrapped up quite quickly. While the upcoming weekly reset will see the removal of those boosts, the increased reputation from the Undermine cartels and the new Flames Radiance reputation is not part of this event, and those will thankfully be unchanged. And if you have any of the new 10% XP bonus potions, while they will no longer drop after the event ends, the existing ones will remain in your inventory and you will be able to continue to use them until they run out. My guess is that these potions in the longer term will only be usable below level 80, so it's probably not worth hanging on to them for the next expansion. This coming reset also sees the belated launch of Horrific Visions Revisited, which will see the return of the Battle for Azeroth Horrific Visions feature, along with a brand new head enchant which is based on a watered down version of the old BFA 8.3 corruption system. The corruption enchants have gone through 2 rounds of buffs and are now significantly better than they were when we first tested them in the PTR. Most of them are offering somewhere around a 2% DPS increase, which isn't a massive amount, but it is enough, I suspect, that a lot of people are going to be chasing them. But do keep in mind that their effects will be deactivated at the start of Season 3. Thankfully, this time around, the worst parts of the BFA Visions, the Legendary Cloak upgrades and the need to farm vessels for a limited number of attempts are gone, and you'll be able to spam the Visions as much or as little as you like. I have a video guide to the new Visions which will be out on Monday, and that will cover all the details on how to access the Visions and how to get the new head enchant, along with all the other rewards that Blizzard hope will entice you to keep running them once you do get the enchant. So make sure to hit that subscribe button right now before you forget, so that you don't miss out on that. At last week's PAX East event, Blizzard took a group of media and content creators to visit the Boston development team, who's working in player housing, and gave them a hands-on preview. I was not lucky enough to be at that event, but I will link to some of the video updates from some of the folks who did go down below. I'm not going to dig into all of the details they shared here, but there are a few little snippets I do want to call out. By far the most consistent message from the people who did experience the preview was that the experience of decorating the interiors and the options available is significantly exceeding their expectations. Something that was largely confirmed is that at launch, the exteriors of the houses are going to be designed around the human Elwyn Forest and Horde Durotar aesthetics. But the good news is that the interior design options are a lot more diverse and will be including plenty for other races. For example, Taliesin was able to build a Silvermoon themed interior, and there are plenty of Night Elf options too. This event mostly focused on the interior design element, with only a pre-rendered video of some exteriors to share, but we did get a promise of a lot more information about the housing neighbourhoods to come in the near future. This event mostly focused on the interior design space, with only a pre-rendered video of some exteriors to share, but we did get a promise of a lot more information about the housing neighbourhoods to come in the near future. I certainly have a ton of unanswered questions around how the neighbourhood system is going to work in practice, especially how Blizzard plan to avoid the almost inevitable tendency for many neighbourhoods to end up with just 1 or 2 actively used houses, as I suspect that quite a lot of players will end up creating a brand new house only to then never visit the area again, or perhaps even quit the game. The only key learning we did get in that front is that they are planning on bringing some gameplay elements into the neighbourhoods to try to give us reason to keep visiting. And also, for those of you who are less socially inclined, the neighbourhoods are also very likely to have some more secluded locations where you can set up your house. And finally, while it was not specifically called out, I also get a very strong impression that the options to customise the exterior of housing are likely to be pretty limited. We're very unlikely to be building a house from scratch, for example, and much more likely that if we do get any options at all, it's only going to be to pick an exterior from a limited set of pre-canned buildings. Over in the 11.17 PTR, this week has seen Blizzard test the return of the Greedy Emissary event, which according to the PTR calendar will likely be happening during July, although that is subject to change. The Greedy Emissary event was originally a limited time crossover event with Diablo 4, which was released to promote its launch. The Emissary is a rare which will be spawning every hour on the hour in Stormwind, Orgrimmar and Donegal. This rare is fairly challenging health-wise, so much so that when I tried to solo one in the PTR, I could not move its health bar at all. Although I have a suspicion that that might just have been a PTR bug. On live, the scheduled nature of this event will very likely guarantee that there's always going to be plenty of players to help. Events of this nature can be pretty chaotic on live, especially in the early days, which is part of their charm, assuming the servers can cope, as there's always a bunch of rewards to get. The rewards from the event are not fully working on the PTR so far, but data mining suggests that it's going to include a recolor of Tyrio's charger mount, and the event will also be dropping a special currency which can be used to obtain recolors of the high definition tier 2 sets from the 20th anniversary event. The event also looks like it's going to be dropping Diablo style charms which will be offering a variety of stat buffs. If you're a fan of meta achievement mounts, then I have some potentially bad news for you. Ashes to Ashes, the Legion meta achievement has been removed from the PTR. This achievement was in a very unfinished state as it contained placeholder entries from BFA, so it could just be that the developers have decided to hide it until it's in a better state. But as it appears to have been completely wiped from the game files and it's never been mentioned in any of Blizzard's publicity for this patch, I do think that it's likely that we won't see it go live. My suspicion is that the meta will now be delayed until closer to Legion Remix, possibly as a teaser for that event, or perhaps even getting integrated into it, which would allow us to earn progress while we were doing Legion Remix. And finally, one of the other new features we can expect for patch 11.17 is going to be the new Overcharged Delves. The way this works is that 2 of the 4 bountiful delves every day will also be designated as overcharged, which will be indicated by a lightning symbol on the map. Unlike the bountiful status, the overcharged status is not removed when you complete the delve, so you can, if you want, run the overcharged delves multiple times a day. The overcharged status basically means that the delve has a bunch of additional Titan themed hazards added. This includes additional enemies, lightning pylons, and crystals that can essentially bomb you from afar. Those latter 2 things can be damaged down to get rid of them. The most notable new hazard are lightning pools, which as well as doing a little bit of damage to you, these also act as snares which root you to the floor. These are by far the most plentiful hazards and tend to turn delves into a little bit of a mini maze. Overcharged delves can be done in any of the 11 difficulties. I personally found that a level 11 overcharged delve does have quite a step up in difficulty, albeit it's not a massive jump given the level of gear that we'll have by the time the patch comes out. To offset this, the delves also have a new Titan console upgrade tree. As you progress your overcharged delves, you'll collect Titan shards, and you can exchange 100 of these to unlock a new talent in the tree, which will gradually increase your power in delves. The most notable of the talents completely negates the effects of the lightning pools, while another can allow you to use them for a bit of a damage buff. So while I found those pools to be quite annoying at first, I do suspect that as you progress the tree, they could actually eventually become quite a bit of fun. Overall, I think that this new format is very likely to be something that you will end up either loving or hating, but I would advise putting some time into progressing the upgrade tree before you make a decision, as I do think that that will make a big difference to the overall experience. The main reward for doing overcharged delves along with the Titan console is a brand new belt, the Durable Information Securing Container, or DISC for short. This is essentially the Season 2 equivalent of Cersei's Circlet and starts off at item level 684, with data mining suggesting that it can be upgraded in stages all the way to item level 700. You obtain the belt by completing a short introductory quest line to Overcharged Delves, and this will likely require you doing 3 runs on any difficulty. The belt has a customizable special effect. You start out with 2 effects to choose from, but you can collect another 7, giving 9 in total. Only one of the effects can be active at a time, but you can change it at any time by right-clicking on the belt. Unlike the Titan console upgrade tree, which is limited to delves, the belt's effects work everywhere, So most likely this is an item that most players are going to want to obtain. If not for your Season 2 progress, then it's something to help kick off your Season 3 push. On the PTR, once that I got my belt, I started to get following quests to upgrade it. I suspect that on live, these are going to be weekly, similar to Cersei's Circlet. I was able to get the belt on the PTR in about 45 minutes of playtime, running a mixture of level 8 and 11 delves. But if you're not a fan of delves, you could just do level 1 overcharged delves. And the upgrades look like they will require another single run each week, so I don't think it'll be a major issue to obtain. I personally have very mixed feelings about these items and the way that they lock out an entire slot for long periods of time. I know of people who are still using Cersei's Circlet even after obtaining myth track rings, for example. But overall, this does not feel like it's going to take a lot of effort to obtain, so I don't think it's going to be a massive issue, even if you're not a delve fan. In terms of other rewards for doing overcharged delves, fully unlocking the upgrade console will award you a new mount, the OC91 Chariot Mech Suit. And there's also a new Hearthstone effect, the redeployment module, for completing 4 different overcharged delves. But otherwise, the delves don't appear to drop very much in the way of extra rewards, at least as far as I've noticed, so I'm not sure how repeatable they're going to be once you've fully unlocked the console. And that's it for this week's update. I'd be super interested to hear all of your thoughts. Are you hyped that the wait is over for Horrific Visions, or are you too firmly in the player housing waiting room? Sound off in the comments down below. And if you found this update helpful, entertaining, or even just plain annoying, then do let me know by hitting that like icon. And if you want to support my channel to grow and help me make more of these videos along with my other content, then hit that subscribe button right now before you forget. If you don't want to miss out whenever I release a new video, as well as subscribing, you can follow me in social media. My links are in the comments down below as well. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.